So on the USDJPY, I already have a sell position triggered. So I would like to share with you how I got to that point. But before we go into that details, let's look at the 4 hours time frame, where we are going to be having an holistic perspective into what has been going on in this market in the last couple of months. So the first thing I did on the 4 hours time frame was to consider the activity of price action since the month of March, in fact, for the last couple of months. And we have a couple of, in fact, I have 3 trend lines here, which we are going to be using to guide our trading activity. Now, the first trend line here is this thick one here. Then we saw a deviation from this trend line here, which happened during the second week of the month of May, giving us a new trend line to work with. And we used this trend line until the second week of this month, when we also had another deviation from this one here. And since the last couple of weeks now, we have been using this new trend line to guide our trading activity. So far, so good. Now, with the situation we have here, price action remain above the trend line. What is going to be our plans for today? Well, if we zoom into the current structure here and look at what happened last week, remember that it took a long time for us to for this bullish traction to happen. Remember, price action was ranging throughout the first half of last week. Remember, throughout the first half of last week, price action was ranging before we finally saw the breakout of the structure on Thursday. And since price action moved significantly to the upside, we saw here that as soon as price got into the 143.900 area, we begin to see some selling pressure. And this gives me an idea that we might likely be seeing a retracement of this impulsive move that started at the beginning of this month. And if that is going to be the case, we are likely going to be seeing some profit-taking activity, which will obviously reflect on the chart as a retracement move, probably into that major trend line that we identified earlier, before probably another wave of bullish momentum will happen. So in as much as this perspective is very, very likely, how do we intend to position ourselves ahead of the New York session today? So we already have a channel where price has been ranging now between the 143.900 level and the 142.850 area. Now, with the situation we have here, we have the resistance level and then we have the support line. For me to sell the USDJPY, we would want to see price action break through that support line at the 142.850, which also shares a confluence with that ascending trend line we identified earlier. So a breakthrough of both the structure will confirm that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate the selling pressure in this market. And if a breakdown happens, a retest of structure will be a good confirmation to ride that move all the way to the downside. So this is how we are going to be maximizing the selling momentum in this market. And for buying the USDJPY at this point, we could see this whole flat channel we have here transition into a trend continuation pattern, where the breakout of the 143.900 area will be welcoming more opportunities to buy the USDJPY for this week. So now that we have this information marked out, we want to scale down into the lower time frame to see how participants in this market will be reacting to the structure, so that we can maximize any of this move. If it's going to be bearish, we want to join early enough, even before the breakdown of the 142.850 happens. And if it's going to be a buy position, we want to be buying even before the breakout of the resistance line at the 143.900 level happens. Now, with the situation we have here, we want to scale down into the lower time frame to have a better perspective into what is really going on here. Now, when we scale down into the 1 hour time frame, this is what I was able to come up with this morning. So I took into consideration the activity of price action early this week. And one thing I saw here is that we have the price action started on a bearish note for this week, and we saw how price action fell into this range between the 143.750 and the 143.250 level. And with this kind of simple setup here, you know how we do it. We want to wait for either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. So with my orders placed at both ends, I had my sell stop order triggered, and in the last 4 hours, price action has been trading below the support line of that channel that we just identified now. So what this simply means is that as long as price remains below this level, we are going to feel comfortable in our sell positions, while we also look out for more opportunities to maximize this move. Now, in addition to this flat channel we have here, we have a trend line which we are also going to be using to guide our trading activity today. And what I did here to get this was to connect a series of lower highs which emphasize the selling pressure in this market. So we are going to be using this trend line to guide our moves. So you want to mark this trend line out on your 1 hour chart, as this is going to be a very important factor that will be guiding any trading opportunity today. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, that is the breakdown of the 143.250, we could still see some opportunities coming anytime soon, as price action could still come back to retest the trend line, where continued selling pressure below the structure will be welcoming more opportunities in this market. So don't let's be worried. Let's keep calm and wait for new structures to mature. Now, in order to maximize the bearish momentum in this market, we have the 142.850, a level which has been a strong buying niche for the last couple of weeks now. So we want to see price action break through that structure to the downside, which I also mentioned on the 4 hours time frame would also have broken down the ascending trend line to give us more opportunities to maximize this bearish move to the downside. So this is how we are going to be selling the USDJPY. So for me, for today and for the first half of this week, I'm tending towards a bearish momentum. However, in as much as we're looking out for bearish opportunity, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers in this market. We saw on the 4 hours time frame how the bullish momentum has been very strong in the last couple of weeks, and we could still see price action climb to the upside. Now, with the current market structure we have here, what are the things we are going to see here that will make us to consider buying the USDJPY? Now, if we are going to be buying the USDJPY from the structure, we want to see price action take us out of our sell positions and break out of this bearish trend line. So you see why you need to mark this trend line out on your chart, because it's going to be a very important determinant of price movement, at least in the first half of the week. So a breakout of this trend line will definitely give us a signal that the trend line may no longer be able to negate the bullish attempt in this market. And once the breakout of this trend line happens, we want to scale down into our lower time frame, where we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support buying opportunity. And this will reflect on the chart as price retesting the trend line or retesting the 143.250, where continued buy pressure above the structure will be welcoming more opportunities to buy. And in fact, we can maximize this bullish move as we have key levels at the 143.750 to add more position to our existing trade. And we also have another key level at the 143.900, which is our key level for the week, to maximize the potential of this move to the upside. So that is how we are going to be trading the USDJPY for today. So I hope that you mark these levels out on your chart, or you can as well screenshot my screen so that you can use it as a reference point to guide your trading activity today.